Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to welcome you. Sorry for a late delay. We start our press conference, and on the end of the session, Russia, Malaysia, achievements in economic cooperation 1 year later. So our speaker, Maslzi Malik, so the Institute of Advanced Study of Islam. So thank you very much, Professor Malik, that you came to us and that you would spare some time with us on the questions that I'm going to ask. So we have a video broadcast here, and the recordings would be held on our web portal, Kazan Forum. So, and the questions from the spectators. So, if you have any questions, so raise your hands. We'll give you the floor. So, and we'll listen to the answer. So let's start with general questions. So, Professor Malik, uh, so please tell us what are the main milestones and questions that were raised on the section Russia-Malaysia cooperation achievements in economics 1 year later, and what outcomes would you tell us speaking about this discussion?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Actually, when we talk about the relation or economic relation between Russia and Malaysia, unfortunately, it's not that massive or overwhelming. Despite of the long diplomatic relation between Malaysia and Russia, mainly the trade between Malaysia and Russian is all about let us say, technology that Malaysia bought from Russia, and some cooperation in aerospace, and if it is from Malaysia, is all about the palm oil, and few not significant number in terms of agriculture. So, in most of the forum talking about the economic relation between Malaysia and Russia, both governments are looking into the enhancement of the bilateral between the two countries and the size of the trades, and also looking at new industries and new area, whether it is in agriculture or in cultural diplomacy. And not to forget, the tourism industry is another field that both countries are looking extensively in order to expand its, let us say, previous achievement, and we are looking into a more rigorous cooperation between the two countries, especially in people to people and trades to trades, rather the conventional G to G. Yeah.
Professor Malik, so you mentioned a very important thing, and I looked at the geographical location of Malaysia, and I've seen a very important thing, and I think that a lot of people all around the world and in Russia, they may ask a question. So technically, you are located in a very interesting triangle between Indonesia, Thailand, and Singapore, and strategic location is one of the best for your countries. So, and the question arises, so why do you need Russia?
About why do we need Russia? We need the whole world population. We all need each other. Not only not only Malaysia need Russia, Russia also need Malaysia. I mean, because we live in the world that been interconnected with each other. That's number one. And number two, if you're looking at the modern world, people tend to have more convenience way in reaching out to others and exploring new experience in order to enrich themselves with more knowledge, with more skills, with more capabilities, which is good not only for their personal enhancements, but also for economic activities and also for trades. And this is where, I still remember when you did mention about Malaysia lies in a very strategic region in which we are neighboring Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, and other countries. But it is rather unfortunate if you look at the number of Russian tourists to Malaysia, which was recorded 110,000 Russian tourists came to Malaysia last year in compared to Russian tourists to Thailand, for example. There are more Russians coming to Thailand and also Sri Lanka and Indonesia. So I think on Malaysian part, we need to do more, especially on our Ministry of Tourism, to attract more Russians to come to Malaysia to spend the whole year of tropical climate, to enjoy the sun, especially to escape the, I don't want to use the word catastrophic winter that you have in most part of Russia. And not only that, the hospitality and also the tropical fruits and a lot of other things that you would find in Malaysia that you couldn't find in any other part of the world, even in Southeast Asian region. Apart from that, let us not forget about one field that should never be neglected, which is education and literature. If you look at education, a lot of Malaysians are going abroad to continue their studies. Likewise, a lot of Russians going abroad either to continue their studies or for exchange programs and whatnot. In compared to other Western countries, the number of Malaysian students, Malaysian researchers, and Malaysian professors and lecturers going to Russia is not as big as our students going to any other part of the world. I think we should revisit this field and think of on how we could, multiply the amount of students, Malaysian students going to Russia and vice versa. We need more Russian students to come to Malaysia to learn more new things and whatnot. Apart from that, when it comes to culture and literature, not much of Malaysian literature is being translated into Russian language, and not that big significant numbers of Russian literatures being translated to Malaysian language. This is another field that I think we should pay a huge attention to and try to get our universities, get our cultural centers, get our language centers, and get our intellects to collaborate, to cooperate with one another to make sure the cultural exchange, the intellectual exchange will take place. And number three, I think the most important part in the world that we're living now, films, movies, documentaries, dramas, songs play a great role in shaping the way we look at others, the way we perceive the world, and the way we understand life. This is where I think, yesterday I spent some time to go to Russian cinema to enjoy a Russian movie, and I found that Russian movies, if not at par, it goes beyond the Hollywood movies. But unfortunately, most of Russian movies, if not, I couldn't see any Russian movies reach the reach the screen of Malaysian cinemas. So this is where I think cooperation between Malaysian film producers, the actors in film industries from both countries need to enhance their cooperation. They need to work more, the exchange of films. We would like to see more Malaysian films landed in Russian cinemas, for example. And we love to see more Russian dramas, more Russian films, and even children cartoon to be seen on on Malaysian TV stations, and likewise, because we too in Malaysia have few cartoons that became very popular in Southeast Asian region, especially in Indonesia, and few of our cartoons has reached the cinema of Japan, and why not Russia? And why not Russian films, Russian animation, and Russian dramas coming to Malaysia? We have a lot of Turkish, we have a lot of Japanese and Chinese movies and films in Malaysia, but unfortunately less Russian films, movies, documentaries in Malaysia. This is where I'm working closely with Kino Kazan and also Russian Embassy in Malaysia to organize Kazan Islamic Film Festival in the month of June. We are only 3 months away from it, in which we have two Kazan Islam Film Festival in the city of Johor Bahru and in the city of Shah Alam, Selangor. So it's the very first time in Malaysian history and in Russian history, but we're going to expand it in the future.
Прекрасно. Вот вы
So that's great. You have actually covered the question I wanted to ask you. You were speaking about the tourism, and you mentioned that few Russians go to Malaysia, and even gave the explanation for that. And I can say that the good instrument here would be cooperation in the cinema industry. As one of the Soviet governors, Lenin, used to say, one of the key arts of the key importance is cinematography, and if our filmmakers get together and create whatever streaming serial or film, a movie, it would be great. When I was a child, the film Advantages of Italians in Russia, a joint venture by Russian and Italian cinema makers, was very popular in my childhood. It wasn't in. So what if we could have the same kind of movie adventures of Malaysians in Russia that would tell the stories about Malaysian people go into Russia, and this is my free idea. I'm a journalist. I need truth. I don't need money. So that would be great, and our script makers could invent a nice script for such a movie, how they traveled, what adventures they came across, and that could foster promote Malaysia as a tourist center. And still, I'd like to ask you the following. What Tatarstan is interesting for, as far as, I mean, not only Russia, but especially Tatarstan, because Tatarstan is Islamic Republic, and we have a well-known cartoon called Masha and the Bear, and it's very popular in Islamic countries because she is wearing Russian national costume. She wears a kerchief, and that's why this cartoon is very popular in Islamic countries, and I wonder why you do not know anything about it. So the question is, what Tatarstan is interesting for you as a part of Russia?
One thing about Tatarstan, I think I did mention in my session earlier that it is a place with its rich of cultures and civilization and history. I think it's the only place you can see a mosque beside a church. And it was not rather new. It has been there from long time ago. And if you notice, the river of Volga has witnessed throughout the history a lot of events that have been taken place here that should be told the story to the whole world, and especially to our side of the world, to see that we are not living alone. So another beauty thing about Tatarstan is, you say that it is an Islamic Republic of Tatarstan, but it became is Muslim or it converted to Islam long before Islam reached the soil of Malaysia itself. But I think it's one thing good for Muslims to know that Islam is not only associated with the people from the south, but also people in Russia. I still remember when I tried to bring the Islamic Film Festival, Kazan Islamic Film Festival in Malaysia, a lot of Malaysians were skeptic and were surprised. They asked me, are they Muslims and Islam in Russia? I told them they have more Muslims in Malaysia, in Russia than Muslims in Malaysia itself. And one good thing about Muslims in Russia, they've been living together with their compatriots, with their fellow citizens since more than 1,000 years ago. Either they were Orthodox Christians or they were non-believers or whatever, but they live harmonious with each other. And this is somehow, I think we need to learn about, because it will further expand our understanding on life and also of the world itself. Let me add something. You did mention about movie, about Malaysian and Russia. Why not we make a love story between maybe a Russian guy and Malaysian girl, or between Malaysian guy and Russian girl? And I think if we can come up with a love song about River Volga that, become a witness of a love between these two Malaysian and Russian couples, it will be a world hit song. Thank you. And about the bear, Masha and the bear, I think, I don't know who to blame, but I think we should work together on translating that Masha and the bear into Bahasa Malaysia or into Malay language, so Malay audience can enjoy it. And we too have our own cartoon, Upin and Ipin, which is very popular outside Malaysia, and Makamato, that we can send to Russia to be translated into Russian language. We exchange. Thank you.
Отличное предложение.
That's a great proposal. Thank you very much. And one of the last questions, could you tell me, Mr. Malik, what investments you personally consider the most promising, and what are you working at in the field of international cooperation between Tatarstan, Malaysia, and what were the achievements during the last year, because the last year was most fruitful?
Okay, I'm not person of trade, and I don't deal with trade. What I deal most is on cultural diplomacy. So my institute, despite of its name, we are working on cultural diplomacy between Malaysia and Muslim countries, and Malaysia and Muslim community at the global arena, whether they live in Muslim countries or majority non-Muslim countries. And I think what we should pay attention a lot is the agricultural trades between Malaysia and Russia. In Malaysia, we have a lot of tropical fruits that we can offer to Russia, that when I was discussing with some of my friends from the agriculture ministry, they said that Russians did buy, for example, pineapple, bananas and coconuts from other countries with the price which is more expensive that Malaysia can offer. But unfortunately, the size of agriculture export from Malaysia to Russia is not that significant, but it is still not too late. We can explore that. Apart from our palm oil. So let's work on agriculture and food, because we have a lot to exchange between us.
Mr. Malik, I remembered of one more aspect not mentioned by you. It's traditional and folk medicine. There are a lot of tourists in Russia and people learning from them pretty much about traditional national folk medicine in Malaysia. What Malaysia can offer here to Russians?
Talking about traditional medicines, maybe we are not as advanced as traditional Chinese medicine, which I think they are more sophisticated. But from Malaysia, you can get a lot of herbal medicines that we can offer. I mean, one of our most popular herb medicine that we exported to mainly Arab countries is our tongkat ali, one of the herbal which is good for health, that been turned into coffee, into tea and other type of drinks, which is good for blood circulation and energy. With regard to our other traditional medicine, I'm not really aware of such, unlike, let we say, traditional Chinese medicine. Yeah. Yes.
Да, спасибо, господин Малик.
Thank you, Mr. Malik. And to conclude our discussion, I'd like to take you a very short story. When Japan, at the end of the 80s and early,
May I add something?
Да,
this,
конечно.
this is very important. There is a growing interest of Malaysians in traveling to Russia. But unfortunately, Russia still imposed visa on Malaysians coming to Russia. I think if both countries could agree, each other to waive the visa, for example, from Malaysians coming to Russia and from Russians to come to Malaysia, that will help a lot, that will be helpful, and we would be witnessing influx of Russian tourists to Malaysia and Malaysian tourists to Russia. So we can, benefit from that tourism industry. Thank you very much.
Безусловно.
yes, it's a very important issue. And I'd like to continue. When Japan started moving its production facilities to other countries in late 80s, early 90s, I remembered it pretty well that when I was buying musical equipment in a large shop, I was asking the sellers to give me an advice, and the advice was, if it's not Japanese, if you don't purchase Japanese equipment, then purchase Malaysian. So there are just two options. Don't buy anything else. And that's why if I see made in Malaysia, I purchase any equipment without any doubt. If it's manufactured in European countries like Czech Republic, so on, I still prefer Malaysia. And that very old musical equipment is still working. And when my children grow up, I will show them this equipment. Do you have any questions?
Уважаемые
So, dear volunteers, I would like you to assist with microphones. So, I can be quite loud, but unfortunately, we have a broadcast, so people who would watch us online. So, hello. RBK TV, Denis Gorshkov. Speaking about Malaysia, we should remember about an outstanding and great badminton players who could train a Russian national team. Because badminton, the way people play badminton in Malaysia. So, do you remember that, like about 10-15 years, we wanted to make badminton as the main badminton? So I'm me myself, I am the member of amateur federation of badminton players, and well, the badminton players, the amount of badminton players in Russia doubled or even tripled. So if we make a training for Malaysians, like Malaysian coaches, but we'll talk about $3 billion. So this is the circulation of trade circulation, but only 20% of this sum is only like the trading of income in for Malaysia. So, and I know what we can buy. What can we buy from Malaysia right now? But what Malaysians buy from Russian? So please, viva badminton!
And I think we can send our badminton champion to Russia to train future Russian badminton players that could win gold in Olympic. Yeah. And we do have few trainers that we send abroad. I will convey your wish to the Minister of Sports, who is my friend, and hopefully they can initiate something. Okay, talking about Russian export to Malaysia, mostly refined petroleum, coal briquettes, crude petroleum, and some technology, while Malaysia exported, is rather a small number, 545 million US dollar only, worth goods to Russia, with the primary products being ball bearing, rubber apparel, and cocoa butter. Yeah. However, Malaysia export to Russia have increased at an annual rate of 6.55% over the last 27 years. But again, I think apart from rubber, I mean, just like I mentioned earlier, tropical fruits, canned fruits, and processed food could be sent could be sold to Russia. And when I went to the supermarket and to the shop, I found a lot of halal products of Russian, but I think likewise in Malaysia, we can sell a lot of processed foods, halal foods to Russia as well. Yeah.
Еще мы можем экспортировать.
And also we can export snow if you'd like to.
Спасибо. Спасибо вам большое.
So thank you so much. So Professor Masley Malik, who is the head of the Advanced Islam Studies, and we hold a press conference, Malaysia, Russia-Malaysia, Achievements in Economic Cooperation 1 year later. Thank you very much for your answers. We wish you good luck and fruitful cooperation on Kazan Forum. Thank you very much. Till next time. Thank you very much those who were online. Goodbye. Thank you so much.